With the 2025 fantasy baseball season coming to a close, today I take a look forward to 2026 with some of my favorite players that I think I'll have a lot of shares of coming up next season, and I think you should draft a lot as well on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominick Martino, riding solo today, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It's going to subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio side of things on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you do that for us as well. And once again, make sure you're subscribed. And guys, what's going to help you win your fantasy baseball leagues is joining Matt and I on the Insider's Track with football on the mind. And, fantasy baseball playoffs might not be at the top of your mind. You might be slacking a little bit, letting Matt and I take all of the guesswork out of it with text messaging notifications that go right to your phone, offering so much more than we can in these 30-minute episodes. Join us on the Insider's Track. The link's in the bio wherever you're listening, watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. And all right, guys, the theme of this episode is kind of going to be a look forward to 2026, where I'm going to talk about a lot of players that I think are going to come at good values, and I think I'm going to have a lot of shares of. So it's almost like a 2026 My Guys Dynasty kind of episode, or, even for redraft leagues where a lot of these guys, are going to be, targets of mine. So definitely great names here, but I almost buried the lead a little bit. We have another major prospect call up. This is the time of year we're going to see a lot of them. And it's Peyton Tolle, starting pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. So here's the thing. As you guys are listening, he's getting called up for the start on Friday, which is going to be against the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's going to be a very, very good opportunity for Tolle to show us what he's made of. Let's take a look. So if you guys have same-day ads and he's still available, that's great. But I know a lot of us don't. So it looks like he will get 1, 2, 3, 4. Cleveland on September 3rd, as long as he stays in the rotation. And then the Diamondbacks after that. Oh, no, actually, the Athletics after that. So not as bad. A couple of manageable starts here. And I like Tolle. Tolle is currently 4% owned on Yahoo, I think last time I checked. Did he move up? 6%. Yeah, okay. So last time I checked, he was 4. He's up to 6% owned on Yahoo, and he's moving up very quickly for good reason, as I mentioned earlier. Peyton Tolle was moved across 3 levels this year, 18 starts, 20 appearances overall, 3.04 ERA, 91 innings pitched, 133 strikeouts. Batters are hitting 203 against him with a 0.99 whip. And he's been good at every level, especially AA, which is one of the harder levels to pitch at. AAA, 3 starts there have been pretty good. Tolle's last 2 starts down in the minors, which came in AAA, have been dominant. 5-inning start in his last one with 1 earned run, 1 hit, 9 strikeouts. The start before that for Tolle, he went 5 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. So Tolle has been hot of late, and I read you those season-long numbers. He's been really good. Got a really, really strong fastball. He, tops out at 99, sits around 95, 96, has a good slider. The control's pretty good. Kind of needs to work with, building up that repertoire. Maybe he needs a couple more pitches he can go to. But I like Tolle. I think he's going to be good here. And there's not a lot of time left in the season. So when these top pitching prospects are getting the call, look at what Nolan McLean has done through his first 3 starts. Not that I think Tolle is going to do what McLean, has done so far through his first 3, because, McLean's been basically unhittable. But Peyton Tolle, first start against the Pirates, as as you guys are listening today on August 29th. Very good opportunity if you could pick him up same day ad, get the start in. That's great. If not, I still want to add him because the second start looks like, as long as full season rotation, will be on September 3rd against the Cleveland Guardians, which is a nice matchup too. So go out there, snag Peyton Tolle. But now let's get into the theme of the episode. Once again, as I said, we're going to do a look forward to 2026. Got the little 2025 news out of the way. But, I know some people want to take that look forward to the 2026 season. So that's what we're doing here for the rest of the episode. And we're going to talk about guys that I think I'm going to be targeting. And I just want to get on as many teams as I can next season, right? And I think you guys should do the same with these players. Jacob Misirowski, right? Love what Misirowski has done in his rookie season here, but he's been struggling of late, right? So that's where I think we're going to see the value. Misirowski, the stuff is fantastic. He got injured, missed a little bit of time. Could have been an innings management thing. We don't know if it was a real injury, but has struggled, I want to say over his last about 3-4 starts. The last one was actually pretty good against the Diamondbacks on August 26th. He struck out 10, 3 earned runs, 5 innings, 1 whip. So, it was really the 3 before that where, Misirowski was pretty bad. But on the season, 10 starts for Misirowski, 4 wins, a 4.33 ERA, 110 whip, 43 innings pitched, and 65 strikeouts. Almost a little bit reminiscent of that Shane McClanahan rookie year where he came up, had the high ERA, right? I'm going to just double check that as I say this. The way I remember it, had the high ERA. The control looked like it was pretty good. But had the big strikeout totals, and we just weren't 100% sure if he was going to be able to, be great. Yeah, so it wasn't the Misirowski high ERA, but it was a 3.43 ERA for over 25 starts for McClanahan. Actually, the whip was bad. That's what it was. I had it flipped in my head. He's almost doing a reverse McClanahan, where the whip is better, which you kind of like to see, and the ERA is a little bit higher, for Misirowski, but still the big strikeout numbers. Great stuff. Pitches for Milwaukee, which is a good team. They've had a good season. They've been really good, especially of late. They know how to develop starting pitching. Got Corbin Burns to where he was. Got Brandon Woodruff to where he is. So a guy like Misirowski is just somebody who, at this point, in his career, I think we're going to get value going into year 2 because the ERA is a little bit elevated. I don't think everybody's going to be as tuned in. Unless Misirowski goes out there and just kind of dominates the rest of the way, which I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to be good. I think you're still going to see some big strikeout starts. But he's kind of reaching a career high in innings. If I do have this correct, just bear with me as I pull up Misirowski's career high in innings. I do believe if he's not at the career high, he's very, very close. So, young guy, 23 years old. You got to build up. You have to build up to it. So 43 in the majors this year. He threw 63 down in the minors. Yeah. So Misirowski's there, guys. He's at the career high. Yeah, it's he's over it. He's over it. Only threw 97 last year. He's at about he's over 106 actually. At 106 innings this year between the minors and majors. So kind of plateauing. I just think Misirowski, somebody, if we can get Misirowski as our SP3 in a standard 12-man league, I think we're going to be benefiting because I think Misirowski could be a high-end SP2. There is SP1 upside. I do think so. But I don't want to put that on him. So if he's being drafted outside of the top 24 starting pitchers, which I think he will be, going to be a lot of value there for a guy like Jacob Misirowski. Let's move on to his teammate. Let's talk about Brandon Woodruff, another starting pitcher that I'm high on going into next year. Brandon Woodruff has recovered great, dealt with injury, has only made 9 starts this year. But out of those 9 starts, Brandon Woodruff has won 5 of them, a 3.10 ERA, an 0.87 whip, 49 innings, and 63 strikeouts. I know Woodruff's last 2 starts have been bad, but could he have maintained the sub 2 ERA for the whole season? Absolutely not. But Brandon Woodruff has a great track record. We know who he is. He's getting a little bit older, but don't forget, Woodruff doesn't have a wild amount of innings on his arm. I don't think he's going to pitch into, his super late 30s. I don't think, we're going to see him at 35, 36. But next year, he's only going to be 33. He didn't pitch all of 2024. In 2023, he only threw 67 innings. So there hasn't been a lot of innings on Woodruff's arm over the past few seasons. Here's the thing. I feel like Woodruff's going to get the hype that, Misirowski's not going to get. Depending though, because I know a lot of industry guys, don't like Woodruff the way that I do. I just think, as he's getting older, he's aging gracefully, doesn't need the stuff to be elite when, he's playing, chess when the hitters are playing checkers. He just knows his stuff. He knows where to put it. The control is pinpoint, always has been for a guy like Woodruff. And even if you look at the underlying stuff, he's getting great movement on his off-speed stuff. Fastball looks good. Underlying stuff believes in what Woodruff's doing, right? And, the results have been there. Even though the fastball is sitting at 93, I saw a 173 batting average against. They can't touch his changeup, elite changeup, one of the best in the league. Sinker has been solid, 208 batting average against on the sinker. He's just been good, man. I think he'll continue it into, the 2026 season. The thing is longevity. Can he do it for 180 innings? Can he do it for 170 innings? I like to hope so. So Brandon Woodruff's another guy that I think if we can get him as an SP3, I think you're doing well. I'm talking about, once again, 2026 basic 12-man league. If you can get Woodruff as an SP3, I think you're doing very well. SP4, I think it's fantastic because then you're taking almost all the risk out of a guy like Woodruff, because if you could put 3 starting pitchers in theory ahead of him and he can, have that leeway, maybe he pitches 120 innings, but they're going to be an elite 120 innings. So that's why I like, a guy like Brandon Woodruff going into the 2026 season. But guys, before we move on and talk about, my last couple of arms here, Trevor Rogers and Drew Rasmussen, and then we get into the bats, names like Chandler Simpson and more coming up next. And all right, guys, I want to talk to you about my friends over at Upside, right? So with Upside, come on, if you're still paying full prices for gas, that's on you at this point. Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code SEASON and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and now you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime you want right to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card, an Amazon gift card, and there's other brands in there as well. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now, using my limited time promo code SEASON for a limited time 25 cents back per gallon bonus. And once again, that's the promo code SEASON. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions today. And then, all right, guys, we have an important, request for you. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win 1 out of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey, and you could also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out, guys. All right, so let's get back into it. We want to talk some baseball. I want to talk some baseball, so let's do it. Next up is Trevor Rogers of the Baltimore Orioles. This is an interesting one with Trevor Rogers, right? Because, former, I want to say he won Rookie of the Year. If not, I think it was between him and Manoah that year. Or did they both win it? not sure, because I do think at the time Rogers was still with Miami. But, Rogers is still fairly young. He's 27 years old. He was in Miami at the time, but did he win the Rookie of the Year? Did he? No, he actually came in second for Rookie of the Year in 2021. So, when Rogers came up with Miami, he had a real good, 2021 season and has not found the rhythm since then. I want to say it has a lot to do with injuries and, trying to find his groove and, just never really worked out for Trevor Rogers, but the talent has always, been there. The talent has always been, something that has been something we can count on for Trevor Rogers. Just not the results. This year, the results are back, and at age 27, I'm buying back in. He's getting the velocity back to where it needs to be. In 2024, the fastball was only sitting at 92 miles an hour. He's got it back up at 93. That extra mile an hour is making a big difference for him. Last year, Trevor Rogers' fastball was getting hit at a 250 clip. This year, it's only getting hit at 173. The changeup, has been, well improved, getting great movement on it, great results. Only 176 batting average against the changeup. So his two leading pitches have been performing very well, getting great movement on them. The underlying stats believe in what Trevor Rogers is doing. And I don't know, man. I mean, it's 13 starts of, got 7 wins, a 140 ERA, an 0.83 whip, 83 innings pitched, 76 strikeouts for Trevor Rogers this year. I just don't know we're going to have to draft him. I hope he doesn't get a crazy push. I hope he's not a top 40 starting pitcher, a top 50 starting pitcher. I hope not. We'll see though. We'll see where he falls. I personally have started digging into my 2026 rankings, and starting pitching doesn't seem like it's going to be as good as it, was coming into 2025 as it's going to be going into 2026. So Rogers might get that push, and we might have to take him a little bit higher. I'm just hoping in a regular standard 12-man league, Trevor Rogers can come in as like your SP5, SP6. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's going to get a push. But if we can get Rogers as our SP5, 6, I think that's going to be a nice spot. And I don't think he's going to continue the sub-2 ERA and sub-1 whip. But I think he can get that K per 9 a little bit closer. His last few starts have been, pretty good when you're talking about K per 9. If you go back to August 1st, since then, he's been I think 2 strikeouts over the K per 9. Each of those have been quality starts, and that's 5 starts for Trevor Rogers. And he's just he's grooving right now. He's moving and grooving. So I don't think there's any reason that we should be hesitant with the guy like Trevor Rogers going into next season. Let's do this last starting pitcher. Let's talk about Drew Rasmussen of the Tampa Bay Rays. Rasmussen's another guy that's always had really, really good stuff. Dealt with injury over the past couple of years, but through 129 innings this year, has 10 wins, 113 strikeouts, 2.64 ERA, 0.98 WHIP, and through 26 starts has 8 quality starts on the season. Just love what Drew Rasmussen does. He's consistent. Another guy that I'm hoping we don't have to pay a crazy price for going into the 2026 season. But another guy we can find, if we get him around Trevor Rogers' range, an SP5, 6, I don't think that's going to be bad value at all. Drew Rasmussen's been just really, really good dating back to, since he's come over to Tampa in the 2021 season, has been just stellar for them, no matter what the role has been, whether it's been out of the bullpen or as a starter, but he's been starting consistently, since 2022 has been consistently starting for them. So with under 3 ERA every year, never has reached that K per 9 potential. I think he has, but the whip's always been good. He's made adjustments this year. He was a first-time All-Star this year, Drew Rasmussen. Even if we got to take him as our SP4, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it, but you're gonna have to supplement the strikeout somewhere else, unless he does happen to take that step forward. I think he can, not guaranteed, not something I'm counting on at all. But I think he can continue a low 3s, a high 2s ERA, with a very, very good control, very good whip. going to win some games in Tampa, could be a 12-game winner. I think he's going to do that around this year, win about 12 games. So he's not hurting you, and he's helping in a lot of different categories. So Drew Rasmussen, starting pitcher, Tampa Bay Rays. But guys, before we move on and get into the second half of this episode where we talk about bats, Chandler Simpson, Vinnie Pasquantino, Nick Kurtz, those names and more coming up next. And guys, I want to talk to you about my friends over at Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? That happens all the time, right? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you can stop just managing your money and start building your wealth. With their surprising insights, personally, when I first started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. They make the collaboration so easy over there, right? Managing your money with your partner is smoother than ever, and you can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Once again, that's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. And all right, guys, let's do the bats, bats that I want on all my teams in 2026, as of right now. Could be changed, but as of right now, these are the guys I'm targeting. And let's go with another Tampa Bay Ray, Drew Rasmussen's teammate. Let's talk about Chandler Simpson, fastest man in baseball, right? It's arguably fastest man in all of non-track and field sports. I love what Chandler Simpson's been doing, man, on the season. 84 games played, 297 batting average, 41 runs, 21 RBIs, and 38 steals. By all means, Chandler Simpson is a steal specialist. Let's get that right. That's what he specializes in. But has led off for a lot of the year for Tampa. 297 batting average, 41 runs over 84 games is not bad. I think Chandler Simpson going into 2026 is going to be someone I'm looking at as like an outfielder 3. Just abundance of steals. He wins you weeks on his own in the steals department. The batting average has been something that I think is sticky. I think a 285 plus batting average is something that Chandler Simpson can sustain. He's proven it in the minors. He's proven it here in the bigs. I don't know what's not to like. If you pair him with a guy like a Kyle Schwarber, right? I mean, that's a great way to do that. The underlying stuff for batting average has him as a 292 guy. He doesn't whiff a lot, doesn't strike out a lot. Doesn't necessarily like walk a crazy amount, but the fact that he's not striking out and not whiffing and necessarily chasing a lot is great for the batting average stuff. Think of, not really, if he hits you 1-2 home runs on the year, it's going to be a lot, but the sprint speed's elite. We know who Chandler Simpson is, or I know who Chandler Simpson is, and I'm explaining to you guys who I think he's going to be next year, and I'm going to want him on all my teams. Just, once again, depends on value with these guys, but I think we should get decent value. Once again, if you can get a guy like Chandler Simpson as your outfielder number 3, you pair him with a guy like a Kyle Schwarber, Eugenio Suarez, guys like that, Pete Alonso, Matt Olson, guys that have big power where the batting average and runs might not be great. And Chandler Simpson supplements that, where he gives you a great batting average, a bunch of steals, and I think the runs are going to be a lot better than we've seen this year, because I think Simpson leads off every day for Tampa Bay next year. No more Jose Caballero over there. He's the speedy guy that can hit 300. I love me some Chandler Simpson going into 2026. Let's move on to, one of Matt and I's boys. And this one makes me proud. I feel very proud about this one. It's Vinnie P, baby, of those Kansas City Royals. He's finally having the year. We've been waiting on this Vinnie P year for like the last three seasons at least. 132 games played for the Pasquatch, Vinnie Pasquantino, 262 average, 57 runs, 28 homers, 94 RBIs, and a steal. He was on a homer and rampage if you go back to August 10th through August 24th. He hit 10 homers over, what is that, like 20 games. He's just been monstrous. The RBIs, having a great monster RBI season. The season's not even over yet. He's going to finish with 30 and 100. And I don't think that's the limit. I don't think that's the limit for Pasquantino. He had a really bad first half, monstrous second half. If he could do this for, if he could take 1 month off and do it for the rest of them, there's a bigger season in here for the Pasquatch. The bad stuff for batting average underlying about 270. I think Vinnie P could have a very Austin Riley like year where he hits 280 with 35 homers, 100 plus RBIs, 70 runs, and is just top 5 first baseman. I think that's a chance. And, what if this Kansas City team gets better? What if some of these young kids step it up? What if Jack Caglione and, Michael Garcia and the rest of these boys, Bobby Witt has a better year next year? What if the rest of them all do it, right? What does that season look like? 35, 125 RBIs, 275, 75 runs. I think that, is definitely something that's in the realm of possibilities for the Pasquatch, right? So I'm buying in. I'm definitely buying in for 2026 with Vinnie Pasquantino. Let's move on to our next guy. Let's talk about another first baseman. Let's talk about Nick Kurtz. And I think Nick Kurtz versus Vinnie P is going to be a great conversation going into 2026. I think we got to give it to Kurtz, just based off of, he's done a lot more, not a lot more, but he's done a lot in less time than Vinnie P. 1 less home run in, what is that, like 40, 50 less games. Kurtz on the other, let's just do the numbers. 93 games played, 309 batting average, 1,035 OPS, 69 runs, 27 homers, 70 RBIs, and 2 steals. And he's still doing it. He's still getting it done. He homered on August 25th and August 21st. A lot of RBIs here for the young Nick Kurtz. There's not much to disapprove of or not to like. I don't know if Kurtz is going to be a 300 hitter, for, his career or, going forward. I think he could be more of we're almost at Vinnie P's at 260, 270, I think is going to be closer to what, he finishes out as, like in his, his career, like average will be something along the lines of that. But does he have the light tower power? Absolutely. This athletics team has a lot of young bats that, if they can figure it out over there, it could be a lot of RBI opportunity, a lot of runs. Nick Kurtz has been in the leadoff spot, almost at, what Philly had done with Kyle Schwarber at times, where, just leading off, hitting those tanks. So it's going to be interesting to see where he lands in this lineup. But I think Kurtz hands down is going to be a top 5 first baseman in 2026. I think we're going to have to draft him as such. I think it's going to be a second, third round price tag on Nick Kurtz, but I'm going to be taking it because that's almost where we were taking guys like a Harper or a Matt Olson or, I think the upside of Nick Kurtz is a 300 batting average, 35 home runs, 100 and 100 when it comes to runs and RBIs. Not expecting too much from, the steals department, but hey, could he chip in a couple of steals? Yeah, he's not like a super slow guy or anything like that. So Nick Kurtz for me, even though the draft price might be high, I'm still probably going to pay it next year. I just think Nick Kurtz is going to be one of those young players that is going to hold down that first base position for years to come. I think he's going to be a top 5 guy for the next 8 to 10 years, hopefully. He's 6'5", 240. He's got the frame for. He's only 22 years old. Not much to hate on for a guy like Nick Kurtz. Let's do a catcher. Let's do Hunter Goodman, man. Hunter Goodman having a great year over there in Colorado. I love me some Hunter Goodman. Talked about him a lot this year. Wasn't really on a lot of draft radars, but, was definitely an early season pickup in most leagues. I think he did get drafted in some. If I remember correctly, did have a decent spring trading, so might have got drafted in some of those deeper leagues. For the most part, hey, if you picked Goodman up early on, you laughed your way to the bank because 117 games played on the year for Goodman, a 272 batting average. 62 runs, 26 homers, 75 RBIs, chipped in a steal. And he also does have outfield eligibility on Yahoo. Not that you're really probably using him there, but also does have, the eligibility at outfield. Is, having a little bit of a tough time in August. Hasn't had the biggest August, but I think he's slowing down. Younger dude. hasn't, done too many seasons here in the bigs. I think I don't want to be mistaken. Came up in 2023, and this is his full blown, first 100 game, plus season. Last year he got 70 in the bigs, but Goodman did struggle. I think, depending on where we're gonna have to take him, I think Goodman, could finish, next year as a top 5 catcher, where I think he is around. In most spots this year. I will double check that. But, the power's good. Maybe needs to work on, the whiffs and the striking out and stuff like that. Does strike out a little bit more than I'd like. Doesn't take enough walks, but that's definitely something he could work on. But could he be a 30 home run guy that hits 270 in cores with decent RBI total? Yeah, for sure. And he's going to play a lot because, he did, what is he up to? 117 games played on the year. You like that for a guy like Hunter Goodman. And hold on, let's do this. Let's see where he ranks. In just standard, in standard head-to-head categories league, Goodman ranks as the 4th best catcher on the season. So, like I said, top 5 potential here with a guy like Goodman. I don't think we're going to have to pay that top 5, price. When you look at guys like Cal Raleigh, Langoliers, Will Smith, the Contreras brothers, I think that's 5 right there. So, Salvador Perez. So maybe he comes in after those guys, but I really do like me some Hunter Goodman going into 2026. But guys, that is going to be all for today. Shout out to our everydayers and listeners for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And after, go check out the all new Locked On MLB Game Night for your second listen, right? Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you guys listen to your podcast. But guys, until next time, see ya.